So we've had a pretty fun series of conversations here regarding about pricing. Um, there's one area again that I think people really should be paying attention to, and I want to say it's like the phases of a project, but it's almost like the different chapters of a relationship with the clients, right? You were mentioning before your perspective of project, cleanup project before onboarding as a recurring client, right?
Yeah. Sometimes clients come to us and they're like in a big mess and they'll say, I really want you to clean this up. And then I also want a price for ongoing work.
Yeah.
In the past, I would put it all together in a contract figure. And if I put it all together, they're going to hire me for the whole thing. And since then, I'll do the price on the project. I disregard the ongoing because if I don't get along with the client then and they're not giving me my documents, that's a very big tell as you're working with them that this is not going to be a fruitful relationship back and forth. And if it's a struggle, then I'm not going to go and give them the ongoing. So I just always make it a point to do that. I also have a firm rule at our firm that we charge for the full project. Even if it's $40,000 or $50,000, we will maybe break it up into payments per month or week, but we don't go by phases. I used to do that, and I don't do that because guess what can hold up and stall a phase? The
No,
client.
yeah.
So you put the dates that they're going to pay 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. If it's a big job, I want to get paid in full. And I do credit cards and I factor that all into the pricing. Make it easy. They love it. They get their points. It's easy. It's less friction to get paid by a credit card. Just do it. Put it in your price. And those are the kind of tips that I would give for that. I have a fun saying, I go, no tiki, no shirty. If you don't pay me in full, because that's when they're happy, they're excited, they're going to clean their file up. And as the project drags on and it takes time and you have to remind them about the time and always consistently touch base with them at least once a week, 15-minute meeting to give them an update and ask any questions and make it less of a burden on them. Try to get everything in the beginning. And I think those are the best tips for doing any work like that when you're pricing. That's going to give you those bigger prices. Because again, we're communicating with the client. I've heard many clients come to me say they've tried to have work with other accountants and they never hear from the accountant. They put their head down and do the work and they don't know what's going on. And that's uncomfortable for the client.
So you mentioned something earlier that reminded me of one of the really powerful things you've done in your journey, that as your prices were increasing, especially with law firms, you started quoting prices per week instead of per month.
Yes, per week. Yes.
And because it became this way for them to digest the price in a different manner. And it was very, very successful for you, right?
Very successful because it's paid. We work weekly.
Yeah.
You're going to pay me weekly. It's better for our cash flow. And also it's a smaller number. So it's not $5,000 a month. It's just, it's psychological tip, but it works.
Yeah.
And you clearly write it. So they know it's weekly. Don't try
it's
to.
not misleading. You're making sure they
Right. Yes.
I completely agree with that part. And there's one other thing as well, that whole idea, I've definitely been guilty of this, and I feel a lot of people are, that if you're trying to deliver something and you don't set the pricing ahead of time in the schedule, if I get behind on a project, I would default to, I have to do more to feel like I've earned it and to justify why I was behind on stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's an area that I think is really important for people to focus on, is as long as do your best to quote the amount of time a project's going to take. Always overestimate it. If people try to push you and say, well, can you have it done by this day? I would always tell them, look, the moment I promise you a date it's going to be done is the moment I jinx this. I won't do that. What I will do is I'll promise you that I'm going to do the best I can on it, because we don't talk about traffic before getting into traffic. It's just, we don't do that.
You can give them a timeline, but there's a lot of things that can slow the timeline down. You have to be really clear and effective in your communication with them to let them understand that. And a lot of times what messes up our timeline is they don't give us what we need to do the work. It's more on them than it is on us. And you also, we even put it into our contracts that if we aren't getting the deliverables by a certain time, and if the project drags on, then we're going to charge more as the months go on. We call it a retainer because that's the language that the attorneys use. Yeah. But we put that in the contract, and we've had a couple that straight out, they didn't give us what we needed, and they ended up paying us more because they didn't give us what we needed at the time that we desired it and we needed it for.
So that's a key thing as well when we talk about project versus like recurring. With project stuff, everybody says that they always demand all this stuff ahead of time before they get started. Not everybody always does it. I've been guilty of it. Get the stuff ahead of time. Mm-hmm. I mean, otherwise, Otherwise, you better be pricing in the time to chase down the documents as well. I like what you said that you do the project first, you get the full pricing there, because that's also going to help you better scope what the ongoing recurring is going to be. So if you try to price that first, what if you're wrong? And now you have to renegotiate that part of it.
Right. And
So
you should get paid for your time to talk to them in the beginning. Once you've put yourself in the place, not in the beginning. In the beginning, you don't do it. It's just you don't have that expertise. But once you've set yourself into the expertise level, get paid for a consultation, get paid, start with the NDA, get paid for the file review. That's time.
great.
You should
Right.
always get paid for the file review. I went many years not doing that. You should definitely get paid for that time. Many, 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 many years. I
Yep.
didn't do it. I was like, not a big deal. No, you should get paid for that time as well.
Yep. So I hope this series of conversations we've had is helpful to those out there. I appreciate the journey you and I have been able to take now for many years together. It's been great to watch you evolve your business, and you've been just fundamental to my rebirth and growth of a business that I am excited and I love what I'm doing again, and I'm balancing, keeping that life work harmony correct. That in itself is a major part of how you should charge. Make sure that you're keeping that balance in life too.
And it's been fun watching you go through this journey. It's kind of fun. I'm enjoying watching you love what you do and set yourself up to do it.